December has come, a new persona is acquired. Time to once again review shows that transpired. Take advantage of the season, and you know what bodes. Dedicate the month to covering holiday episodes. I hear your concerns, feel that I'm too amateur to do an entire review in Amic pentameter. But do not be afraid, your concerns are but myth, as I consider myself an exceptional wordsmith. But to the matter at hand, to cover a show, a beloved Nicktoon once aired decades ago. Danny Phantom So Cherished, a truly great work. Well, if you can get over its inseparable quirks. A boy with ghost powers as a superhero vector, juggling high school with combating dark specters. Has a lot of great action and lore, don't you know? One of the earlier examples of this type of show. Very fun program, but I'm especially not elated. Tropes here get a pass, but with Ruby Gilman, it's hated. But I need to speak out somewhat before I do start. I won't mention the controversies of the man of the heart. It's not the channel to discuss, I'm just a guy in my 20s. Want a place for that? Well, look around, dude, there's plenty. But our Christmas special comes halfway through season 2, before the third one where the show went to poo. Christmas in Amity starts us right at the mall, where the goth girl Sam's actually cheery to all. Honestly, the characters are where the show starts to drop, since Hartman can't write people who aren't over the top. Virtually all her stereotypes, cliches in that junk. Wouldn't even say Sam's goth, she's more eco-punk. Sam can be a lot, pretty loud, abrasive, and hating, but better than geek best friend Tucker, who's much more irritating. He did not age that well with plenty jokes that are cheap, and seriously, my god, this dude's a massive creep. But with them is Danny, our teen ghost hero dude, who finds himself in anything but the festive mood. The reasoning why will soon be quite apparent, it's due to the conflict of his ghost hunting parents. Jack and Maddie are a supernatural action science team, with their eccentricities taken to the extreme. Very wacky and cartoonish, sometimes awkward to view, but hey, they're still better parents than these two. You might think I'm being harsh, but as you'll soon see, they're in the mall too, making such a scene. Jack's a child by heart and knows that Santa is real, as his wife's adamant that he's not, but really, what's the deal? Yelling at children disproving Saint Nick's feats? Being a buzzkill like Neil deGrasse Tyson's tweets? You fight the supernatural, you should believe the most. I'm surprised that you don't think that Santa's a ghost. As is later explained, this happens year after year. You never got this resolved throughout your career? As a baby, their bickering left Danny on the back burner, till this dog did its thing. Did he become Timmy Turner? Even later when they're fighting, Long stopped being quirky, Kid Danny was faced with a random zombie turkey. Freaking Freebird! Which sets Christmas to stay and he just wants to quit, heading to the ghost zone, that dimensional pit. But he's not alone there. His burden gets no lighter, close to the lair of a new villain, the Ghost Rider. A pun I enjoy, I love the coherence. Shame that this is his one and only appearance. True to his name, he finishes his book, though I really question the random hipster look. Out the library he walks, holding out his prize, but Danny's holiday catharsis leaves the book all but fried. Learning it's a holiday one, Danny's dense as a brick, says he's glad he destroyed it. God, what a prick. But soon he regrets it, should have done the math. With Rage the Rider is filled with such wrath. His keyboard makes things come to life with each verse, as he soon puts Danny in a holiday curse. Swift fingers zap Danny, sending him right to his home, as his reality is turned to the Ghost Rider's tome. Every action now narrated when the Ghost Rider chimes, and it's made perfectly clear why I'm doing this in rhyme.
Fenton hates Christmas. He hates it a lot, which is why I've inserted the boy in this plot.
If the show does it, then I as well have good reason, and it really does fit this holiday season. Admittedly a used gimmick, I know I'm not the first. But hey, maybe like Danny, I'm the one really cursed. Trapped in a holiday poem is Danny's nightmare, and I'd rather go fight any simple ghost scare. That's just the opening, but I love this title card. The show does them so great, they always go hard. The Ghost Rider puppets this world with his strings, and rhyming's not the only problem he brings. Though he's not just malicious, his freedom can be earned, but only once a certain lesson is learned. Danny's quite angered, going out with such huff. The lesson could end at don't blow up people's stuff. They don't believe his story and think he's being obscene. What, like that would be the weirdest thing that you've seen? They're confused on why Danny's in such a state, but brush it off as just being his holiday hate. But the Rider as the villain soon takes his post, turning the random old reindeer into monstrous ghosts.
On Spooky, on Spectre, on Deathhoof, on Thrasher, on Maimer and Vicious, Blood Antlers and Slasher.
He made the poor things ghosts. That accent's quite sordid. Did those animals, like, die? Wow, that's pretty morbid. Danny goes ghost for this random mall clash, the most reindeer carnage you'll see outside of Rankin Bash. Despite being a superhero, he still couldn't stop the horde, but with ghost animals, didn't have the best track record. With the mall as a wreck, the town gives him all the blame. What, didn't you see Demon Rudolph's reindeer games? Later, things don't get much better in his house, as the annoyances still make him a holiday grouch. Danny makes it clear he's not taking this crap. With another verse, he all but just snaps.
Sick of your fighting. Can you please let this die? You've ruined each Christmas, and I can't take any more of this war. Am I clear? 14 years is enough. I am so out of here.
With a huff, he leaves, going ghost to escape, but the rider won't let him out without a scrape. Using his power to take the town's gifts, blaming Danny to ruin his reputation quite swift. Trying to escape the book, his attitude quite shrewish. He goes to Sam's house. What do you know? She's Jewish. Doesn't go how he'd like. Couldn't escape this ghost game. As with the presents gone, she jumps to Danny to blame. Now, it could not be them, but the Ghost Rider's work. But come on, throughout the series, everyone's just a jerk. As Sam and Danny fight, their argument heated, the writer decides a new threat is now needed. Animating the toys to give Danny a fight? Pretty sure all of this was in Nicktoons Unite. An army of ghost toys, but they aren't attackers until they fuse to make a monster nutcracker.
Nuts!
Danny cried as he started to run. Must we end every scene with a terrible pun?
At first, Danny gets truly thrashed by the giant, but we know about Fenton, he's all but defiant. Chipping the foe with ecto blast after blast, and I gotta hand it to them, this music kicks ass. Danny sends Furman well in aplomb before finishing with a ghost spirit bomb. And though he succeeded, can't be said for the toys. With the actions, they remain completely destroyed. As the town and their friends are filled with dismay, but they still take it out on Danny anyway. These gifts mean a lot. I understand your frowns, but did you not see the monstrous giant in town? With Danny more hated, you think the writer had won, but it's soon obvious he's very far from done. Setting his sights on the festive coniferous in every house in the town turns them all carnivorous. Panic and fear spread as the trees go on rampage, and the off-screen kill count must be too big to gauge. The only ones prepared are the Fentons who manage. As a ghost-fighting family, they have the advantage. But reminded that Danny's out in this hostile event, Manny's maternal instincts refuse to relent. Manny's really damn awesome, much more than I thought. Like, wow, what a baddie.
Oh man, that is hot!
Dual-wielding hand axes so spry and so limber, cut through ghost trees faster than you can say timber. But as much as Danny has powers he's stored, it's too much for him against the holiday horde. But getting an idea to fight on this scale, uses ultimate move, his sonic ghostly wail. Shredding through trees they splinter and fall, really should be more powerful in Nick All-Stars Brawl. His mom finds him after the fight's so horrible and takes him back home. Okay, it's pretty adorable.
It's Christmas Eve, son. Home is where you should be. Let's get back to the house and I'll make you some tea.
And Danny gets the idea he should have from the start. Go to the ghost zone and beat up this tart. He knows where to go, to his library lair. But the writer established he's not playing fair. As the biggest obstacle to keep him on his toes, he brings him to a gathering of all of his foes. The lunch lady was the first, who manipulates meat. But at this point in the show, she's not hard to beat. Skulker the Hunter, where tech and spirit fused. A villain that's seriously way overused. Ember, the fiery pop star ghost rocker, definitely the most popular. Wow, what a shocker. Technus, who can possess any machine. And Poindexter, who's just really a nerdy teen. Youngblood is a kid whose imagination gets loose. Fighting him really should be child abuse.
Having fun yet?
Johnny and Kitty, but they're honestly pretty lame. Spectra and her butler I can't be bothered to name. Walker, the warden of a ghost prison they dread. Why do you need jail if they're already dead? And if that wasn't it to give Danny a scare, for with them's the box ghost, and so beware! With their greatest enemies, they never relent. But they invite Danny to their festive event. They refuse their grudges, their vengeance no use, for tonight is the night of their holiday truce. The writer thought with Danny the truce they would break, but they keep it up because for Christmas' sake. Despite their differences and wrath they incurred, in the holiday truce, all safety's ensured.
We don't fight on Christmas.
One day of tranquility.
Come sundown tomorrow, we resume our hostility!
In a special where everyone's hateful right near it, ironic that the ghosts have the most holiday spirit. After the shock, Danny then outspoke that this truce was the one that the Ghost Rider broke. Since this truce is a law and now broken since, what else to resolve it but with festive violence? With Danny at his door, with much more backup, the Ghost Rider found he royally effed up. But though he's outnumbered a lot in this fight, remember his keyboard makes whatever he writes. That thing's so powerful with how this unfurled. Like seriously, the writer's a god in this world. What, you think the Ghost King was Pariah Dark? That's this guy who almost looks like that YouTuber Mark. The writer forces them into a violent scuffle, and the person they target really seems to get shuffled. As a last-minute plan to turn the writer mute, Danny picks up a certain citrus fruit.
Ah, crud! Nothing rhymes with orange!
I must interject. Yes, it does. Sporange. His quick thinking stopped the Ghost Rider's cheating. Now it's about time for some season's beatings. Destroying the keyboard to be free from this verse, but doing it doesn't stop the rhyming curse. As the writer's arrested, cackling after the deed, with the console destroyed, he can never be freed. Left with no choice now, after the quarrel, now can only be freed once he learned the first moral. As Danny goes back with the streets cased in frost, with Christmas ruined back home, really all just seemed lost. His friends turned their back as he's no longer respected. With amity in ruins, Danny's completely dejected. But they come back to him with the new change of heart. As Danny admits, it's his fault from the start. Wonder why they did it when it seems he's so hated. But with the writer gone, they're no longer manipulated. His apathy and aggression made this curse too lyrical. But what happens next was a holiday miracle. The gifts are restored to their houses they fill in, and it's due to none other than all the show's villains. Surprise, as they want to help Christmas's revival, for the truce now assists their ultimate rival.
Couldn't leave you to suffer in gloom.
Tomorrow you'll see what this baby can do. But all ghosts share the truce. Even half-ghosts like you.
Villain ghost saving Christmas? You think he's delirious, but they were Santa hats now, so you know it's serious. And with the group, Desiree randomly appears. He's my personal favorite, one I do revere. A ghost genie granting wishes, a seductive temptress. Wiz was in it more, but they couldn't book her actress. With ease, she revives all the trees with a swish. Really, you could fix all of this with one wish. They fly off to each house with gifts to deliver, and Danny then turns to a Christmas forgiver. But they can't go through the Fentons with the active ghost shield, as Danny decides there's a rift to be healed. As the Fentons are filled with festive dismay, Danny's the one to save the holiday, returning with all of their gifts that were gone. The built-up frustrations begin to pass on.
Danny, you're smiling. That matters the most. We're all here together, not fighting some
Ghost!
For ghost hunting experts, you think they'd have dawned that they have over a dozen right out their front lawn. They fly off in the night as the Fentons go seek it. And reminded why Danny keeps his persona a secret.
Ghost boy? Let's tear him apart.
Now you're talking! You're toast, boy!
With a miracle, the day saved this year, Danny starts to build up his holiday cheer. For he knows not to fall for the apathetic glum. He promises to be better when the next Christmas comes. And this realization breaks the holiday curse. And Danny cheers now that the rhyming's reversed. And the writer's imprisoned with this ghostly brute, but is absolutely scarred now by this orange fruit. With Danny now grown and made all his amends, the story and episode comes to a full end. But with the story now done, it's my dominion, and you must be wondering, what is my opinion? But before I do, it's important to ask, how will these episodes fit their holiday task? If they have the spirit all festive and merry, and if they have the right message that they should carry. But to see if the episode is fitting or not, let's just take a look through the lens of its plot. I will give a ton of credit to do it in rhyme. Most other shows wouldn't give it the time. Most of the rhymes were fitting and slick, though some of the forced ones were rather thick.
Battled each other with all weapons handy. A frame day by 10 of my half-brother Randy?
The Ghost Rider was a new and fun foe, with a power and gimmick not seen in the show. Interesting how he wasn't entirely evil, wanted to teach Danny a lesson with much upheaval. Granted, the console breaks most of the show's lore, he has godly power, could there be any more? Though the conflict admittedly is a bit more muddled, when he fight him immediately, leaves me befuddled. but the pacing is nice, it moves on the brink, and has every festive aspect that you can think. It makes the episode much more enjoyable, even if everyone was rather deplorable. Expected in this show, public has Danny to blame, but it sucks when his friends and family do the same. They were too mean and harsh, much more than my liking, but it could be done by the ghostwriter's typing. But the characterization that really bothers me is that Danny's parents just got out scot-free. Their quarrels ruin Christmas for those they hold dear, and they're probably gonna do the same the next year. It's because of them that Danny hated this time and caused this whole thing, the cursing and rhymes. Really, without it, the plot wouldn't be the same. It's because of them, they should be to blame.
Huh? What got into him?
He takes after his mother.
They never learned that and admitted their faults. Instead of being better, they go on assaults. The lack of resolution really does sour, but that's not where lies all this special's power. How strange that the ones carrying the spirit the most were all of Danny's rogues of villainous ghosts. Where everyone else was so brash and so callous, the ghosts were the ones who gave up all malice, inviting their enemy to merriment and feast, and respected this night that all conflict must cease. And if that wasn't enough of a twist, to save Christmas, they actually assist. Without them, Amity's Christmas would be lost, and help Danny to see what his selfishness cost.
I was so busy whining, I started abusing the ones I love most and I ruined their cheer. I'll try to be better come Christmas next year.
Without it, I feel the special would be just fine. But this is where I think the episode shines. The goodwill towards others they keep in their stead, even extending towards the undead. How amazing it is when these characters so bad, the one time they decided to be merry and glad. Admittedly, I wish that this aspect was longer, but the surprise arguably made it so much stronger. The spirit of Christmas is evidently here, goodwill towards others, even those that you fear. Even Danny was moved by their goodwill tonight, and actively helped to set everything right. Danny learns to be kinder in this time of Yule, let go of his hatred and not being cruel. Don't take it out on others, it's what made this all start, and made a somewhat satisfying change of heart. You know, after thinking of this conflict's perils, why did they never make a parody of A Christmas Carol? Seriously, it's the perfect story to host, where the Christmas thing has a focus on ghosts. If it's right in this story, you can do much more, and adding the Ghost of Christmas would be cool for the lore. But despite my tangent, my arbitrary plea, I think it's a nice special to see. Sure, it's apparent that it has a few flaws, but I still think it ultimately deserves some applause. It has so much holiday action, it's like you'd expect, but the emotional part, it doesn't neglect. It does its aspects well, it won't leave you reeling, and still gives off its fitting holiday feelings. Give it a watch this season, if you so desire, to the next special I'll cover before I do tire. Hope this review didn't give you a fright. Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Hell yeah, I did it.
Please, it's Christmas.
It's December 10th. Oh!
Christmas trees on fire.